Thyme is a truly multi-purpose herb. The thyme I'm talking about here is Thymus vulgaris, the common or garden thyme. It's a low-growing, fairly tough plant that likes a sunny situation. It comes in the standard green-leafed and also in variegated forms, which some people consider to be more attractive. But the important thyme oil, which is the source of all thyme's goodness, is found in both. Thyme is closely related to lemon thyme, but not to basil thyme. Remember that if you want to use thyme medicinally, it's important that it is grown organically so that its properties are not masked and you don't end up ingesting toxic ingredients such as pesticides by accident. Like most herbs, once it's established, it doesn't like to be moved, although you'll probably get away with it if you're moving it to a new position it likes. Thyme is one of those herbs that begs to be touched. Get down close to it and crush a few leaves to savour its rich, meaty fragrance. It's easy to see why it makes such a good herb for meat dishes, particularly beef. You could even use it instead of oregano or marjoram in Italian food. The fresh herb is so rich, you may prefer to dry it by hanging it up in bunches somewhere with a good airflow and not too humid for culinary use, after which you should strip the leaves off the branches and store them in an airtight jar. Before I go into the medicinal uses of thyme, you need to be aware that thyme should not be used in large amounts, for example for tea or as a herbal remedy by pregnant women. A little bit used in cooking will do no harm, but for medicinal purposes you will be using rather more than a pinch. Thyme is an excellent herbal medicine for digestive and respiratory disorders. It's antifungal and is useful for treating both viral and bacterial infections. It's also antiseptic, expectorant, and can be used as a general tonic. A thyme infusion, taken internally, is very helpful for respiratory complaints like asthma, catarrh, bronchitis and other coughs, and laryngitis. The same infusion is also helpful for indigestion, diarrhea and gastritis, and is good for chills as it has a warming effect. It can also be used as a gargle for sore throats, tonsillitis, etc., and as a mouthwash for bad breath and gum disease, gingivitis. Use the infusion hot for coughs and catarrh, or cold for gargling or as a mouthwash. It doesn't have to be drunk all in one go, but can be sipped slowly over an hour or so. It can also be used externally as a wash for fungal infections and can be used to make a warm throat compress for sore throats and tonsillitis. A compress is a clean cloth which is soaked in the infusion and then applied to the area. For a warm compress, the infusion should cool a little before use. A steam inhalation is helpful in cases of tonsillitis, catarrh and general infections, also to help relieve muscle fatigue for ME sufferers. You can either use a few drops of the essential oil which you've brought in, or a good handful of fresh herb. Put the oil or crushed herb into a big flat bowl of boiling water and lean over it, covering both your head and the bowl with a towel to help keep the steam in. Another way is to have a hot steamy bath with the oil or herbs added to the water. In this case, put the herbs inside a muslin bag or something similar so you don't get covered in little bits of it. Thyme, the pink mouthwash used by dentists, was originally made from thyme. To make a mouthwash for general use, make a half-strength infusion using 2 teaspoonfuls of fresh leaves or a teaspoonful of dried to a cup of hot water. Leave to stand for 10 minutes, strain and use cold. The whole cupful, 1 mouthful at a time. Thyme essential oil is very strong and should not be used except for 2 purposes unless you're a professional aromatherapist. I've already talked about steam inhalation. The other use is for those of you with children at school. Add a few drops to a bottle of sweet almond oil and comb a little through the hair night and morning to deter head lice or cooties.